Hello and welcome to the Arise interview, where we take time to reflect on the big stories from the news and on the fortunes and affairs of the world in an hour of conversation with commentators, analysts and thought leaders. I'm Charles Anyegolu. Coming up in the next 60 minutes, amid growing insecurity in southeast Nigeria, the region's governors announce a new security outfit to tackle the challenge. And what a challenge! In the past week alone, waves of attacks against police in the region, with gunmen invading the headquarters of the police command in Imo State, setting dozens of vehicles alight, burning several police stations and freeing nearly 2,000 inmates. As tensions run ever higher, we'll speak to the politician, governorship aspirant and former president of Transcorp Hilton Hotels, Valentine Ozigbo, who is from the southeast. And later, 4 days hence, Britain and the Commonwealth are deep in mourning following the death on Friday of the Duke of Edinburgh, Queen Elizabeth's husband, of 73 years. As the bells toll lugubriously and gun salutes echo across the land, details have been released of the ceremonial funeral, which will take place next Saturday. We have more on that, as well as reflections on the relationship between the Duke and the Commonwealth from the director of the Royal African Society. Coming up. We begin, though, in southeastern Nigeria, where in the past week, with deadly regularity, gunmen launched a wave of attacks against police in the region. Amid heavy gunfire, they blasted their way into the headquarters of the police command in Imo State, burning dozens of vehicles and destroying property. Then they turned their attack on a prison facility, freeing nearly 2,000 inmates. With equal ferocity, they charged a number of other police stations, burning them down and wrecking everything within sight. Beyond these incidents, security personnel have been killed, and there have been clashes between communities of farmers, natives and cattle herders. It's led to an emergency security meeting of Southeast governors and the establishment of a regional security outfit codenamed Ebube Agu, or Fear of a Lion, to attempt to combat the crisis.
Maintain a joint security vigilante, which already has been formed in the 5 southeast states for the southeast, and the joint security outfit to coordinate the activities of our vigilante in the 5 south states shall from today be known and called a Bubago Joint Security Outfit for Southeast. The meeting condemns very highly the killings in all southeast in the recent time, and asks the federal government and security agencies to bring justice to the victims by way of bringing all the murderers to face the law.
Well, for his take on the fast deteriorating security situation in Nigeria's southeast zone and the response of the region's governors, I'm joined now in the studio by the politician, governorship aspirant in Anambra State and former president of Transcorp Hotels, Valentine Ozigbo, who is himself, of course, from the southeast. Thank you so much for coming in. Busy day for you, no doubt?
It's been an incredibly busy day. Thank you, Charles, for having me.
It's always a pleasure. You are, of course, as we said, a governorship aspirant hoping to be governor of Anambra State. What is your reaction to the rising insecurity in the southeast?
Charles, I'm perturbed. I'm very worried. I live in Anambra State for the past 18 months now. And so you can imagine what it means to wake up and hear stories like this. And for me, your mind is going to go 360 degrees. Where is this coming from? Why? Can it be stopped? How? And before getting to those questions, how did this even arise? How have things gone this bad that we can get this level of destruction? And I tell you, I would rather be discussing how we can catch up with the rest of the world, how Anambra and the Southeasterners can be the shining example of what Nigeria should become, and not as if we're having another Boko Haram in the Southeast. It is very unfortunate. And I want to say that a lot of times when you have insecurity, in most cases you find that it's actually economical. When there is hardship, suppression, and marginalization. There's something that some people are, because it's not about crime, it's not about robbing money and all that, because there's agitation. And the root of this, we need to figure out, what are they agitating? And if you come to the Southeast, it looks like not every state is having this chaos. Enugu, for instance, is relatively safer. What are they getting right that others are not getting right? Anambra and Imo, for instance. So we've got a lot of questions begging for answers. Right,
but of course in the short term, because I mean what you're saying is obviously, it's a good point, but it's a slightly longer term issue. I mean, as a governorship hopeful, do you consider the actions by the Southeast governors to be limited and somewhat modest in tackling insecurity? If so, what would you do differently if you were governor?
To be honest, the reason I started from this perspective to go back to where it is arising, because if you don't understand the root cause, whatever you do may not be,
absolutely
solving the problem. But looking at what they've done, I commend the action. It's proactive, but not proactive enough. Because clearly, a lot of these things should have been done long ago. We don't wait for things to happen to start to react. And if you ask me, I've been a long advocate for community policing, regional policing. And this is what we should have in all the regions of Nigeria. We have to hold people responsible. The idea of when things happen, blames are traded, doesn't make sense. The idea that, the governor is supposed to be the chief security officer, but he has to beg for instruction on order to be given for things to be done. And even more importantly, where is this coming from? What are they agitating against? If, for instance, they had to go to prison to free up inmates, it shows that maybe some people could be held that whoever is leading this was agitating for, and were there not enough rooms for negotiation, to understand how this could have been managed? I don't have all the answers. I'm yet to be governor, but I'd rather things don't happen this way. And to solve the issue, clearly we need to entrench community policing. We have to be able to deal with our circumstances and circumference to see that every part is marked by way of the tools, the intelligence, the people, the preparedness. And when this is done, we can hold people are responsible and accountable.
I can see you're talking, and you're making some good points there, but a lot of what you're saying is almost like a concentric ring. You start from here and then you swell out. So there's the short-term, medium, and long-term sort of solution. But as an immediate reaction to what has happened in the past week, for example, in Imo State, how effective do you think the measures they announced will be? This Ebube Agu, for example, which is a sort of vigilante security outfit. I mean, will it make a difference?
It will help to make a difference, but I don't know if that difference will be enough until we figure out what the agitation is.
Because there's also an issue about police actually allowing those people to carry arms, isn't there?
Well, Amoteku has gone on and it's going on. And the truth is, what is the alternative? What else do we do? I actually would want us to take the issue of insecurity very seriously, and every single region should pay attention to it. I'd like to hear that this region is doing better than the other. When there is positive, competition, people tend to improve over time. As long as we're not using it for political reasons, we're using, touts. And
but that's always the fear, isn't it?
That's the fear. That's the fear. And so the whole, law and order, the framework, the governance framework of this must be fully scrutinized. So it's important that we see the documents that are binding all of this together. So when we see this, then we can make a more, insightful comment. But for now, it's a good attempt, but it's not enough. We have to go back to the issue of the poverty, the anger, the hunger, the marginalization, the unfairness, the injustice, whatever it is that we are doing wrongly. Basically, the failure of leadership. That's why the need for competency in leadership can never be overemphasized.
Who do you think is behind this? The Nigerian police have accused the separatist group, the Indigenous People of Biafra, or IPOB, of carrying out the attack, but the group have denied this.
Honestly, I wouldn't know. What we need to do is investigate. Who is responsible can only come out of investigation. It can be imagination, it can be wishful thinking. There must be intelligence. There must be, and video or audio recording of some of the conversation. There must be a way they can use intelligence to figure out who is responsible.
And what about
with clear evidence?
Sure.
Not some premonition.
Yes, no, you're absolutely right. What about your assessment of the fact that gunmen could invade the headquarters of the police command, sack the building, and then go into custody and free people there? I mean, you'd have thought that police headquarters would be a maximum security area. So surely an enormous embarrassment for the police at the very least.
It is such an embarrassment. It tells you how low the morale is in the armed forces, not just the police. It wasn't just the police, even the military points were also touched. So the point here is, what do we need to do to up that ante so that the morals and readiness and preparedness of these guys can be at the best? The reality is that we've got a lot to deal with, and the only way you can do that, once you have a centralized system, inefficiency abounds. And that's why we need to go back to what do we need to do to make Nigeria more efficient. And when we get to the issue of insecurity, we must have people not just at the regional level, at the state level, at the local government, responsible for their areas. And that's the only time you can take care of the welfare of these people,
right.
Provide the tools they need, make sure there are enough people sufficient for the database we have in Nigeria. This insufficiency is there, lack of welfare is there, lack of preparedness, lack of tools, all of these are playing out, and lack of intelligence. When you invest a lot of money in this, and you get people to be fully accountable for their actions, we will get somewhere.
Okay, let me quickly get you to address this, because we've got about a minute or so left. You obviously are talking from outside the realms of being a governor, because you're not governor yet. Yes. How far have you come? What are you guys doing today? I mean,
very close. Very close. Today we just have gone through the screening process for our party. I was just coming.
That's the PDP.
PDP. I was just coming from the Wadata House, where about 16 of us were present for the screening process. Right. It continues up to tomorrow. And I'm very excited to see how transparent the process was, and happy with what I've seen, and I believe everything's going to come well, and by the grace of God, I will emerge as the contender.
Well, we hope we'll talk to you again very, very soon.
Thank you.
Valentine, I want to thank you very much indeed. Valentine Ozigbo is the governorship aspirant in Anambra State, and he's, of course, a politician and former president of Transcorp Hotels. Thank you ever so much. You're watching the Arise interview. Plenty more still ahead, including 3 days after the death of Prince Philip, and as preparations gear up for his funeral on Saturday, we get the reflections of the director of the Royal African Society. Stay with us.